ask an accountant to price it for you, he'll price it. But there is a fundamental difference between price and value. This is why NVIDIA is trading at like a 300% price to earnings multiple. Because the market believes the value is higher than the price that's reflected in the share. And so one of the things we allow entrepreneurs to do is to value their business. So here, these two entrepreneurs, to give them the average value of their business on a 4 times multiple, 3 multiple, 5 multiple, this is the current business value. So now the conversation we have with them is not where do you want to go, where do you want to grow, what do you want to sell. It's what's the value of the business you want to get to so that you can exit. What's the dream value of a business? Is it 100 million? Is it 20? Is it 5? Or is it I never want to sell? And then, let me just very quickly say this, every single entrepreneur in this room will exit a business. If you run a business, you will exit, I guarantee it. There is no such thing as an entrepreneur that doesn't exit a business. The problem with many of us, particularly black and brown people, is our exit is death. When you die, it dies. And then every single year, we burden the next generation, we're starting from scratch. Because we've not thought about how do you make the business the instrument of value, not you. It's good, ne? No, I'm on fire, comrades! No, I'm breathing the fire! Aim with the fire. Okay, great. So that's hindsight, insight, foresight. I don't want to spend much time on this. I do want to give you guys that QR code very quickly. This is actually what I wanted to close with. The 4 things you must remember when you want to identify a market space. First, look for markets that are fragmented. I love fragmented markets because it means that players have not consolidated themselves sufficiently to accumulate strength. That's why, for instance, Transaction Capital was able to disrupt the taxi market business. It's not because the business is racist, it's because the market was fragmented and they came and consolidated it. Second, look for markets where there's an inefficient use of assets. And you'll notice anytime you find a market that's inefficient use of assets, it's prime for disruption. Third, make sure the market you're operating in is big enough. Market size actually does matter. You can be small in a small pan, and you'll be a great business, a fantastic lifestyle business. You'll take 2 holidays a year, one of them local, one of them international. As long as the rand stays at the current kind of exchange rates, you'll take your kids to a fantastic private school, you'll have medical aid, you'll be able to, do all the things you need to do. But as long as the market is small, building a business of value is going to be hard. So one of the magics with those 2 entrepreneurs I shared with you, the sample data, was they had like 3 different businesses in one. We got them out of the 2. That was a massive fight, I must tell you. Then we got them to focus on the business that was scalable, because it was a large enough market size. It's not that they were rocket scientists. They were in the right market, right time, doing the right solutions for the right customers. Market size. And then lastly, I love markets where there is a large customer experience gap, where there are lots of customers who are happy, lots of customers who are pissed. Because in that space is a fantastic opportunity to build a business case. Okay, great. So let me go very quickly to that QR code now. Here we go. So if you take the QR code on the left, that'll give you a sense of suitability for scale. If you scan the QR code on the right, that'll be your readiness test. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really, this year, wanted to be sure that I bought something that was tactical, that was doable, that was implementable, and that could, for those of us in this room who are like entrepreneurs, you are, a 1-man band, a 2-man band, something that you can actually go back and do, that can make a fundamental difference in your life. Now, let me very quickly end with this, because Aiden is giving me funny faces. So, do you know, like, there's some people who are like, just very talented and very gifted, and they tend to do well, and everything they touch turns to gold. I wish I could say that was my story in business, but the truth is, it wasn't.
How's that?
It wasn't. Everything I have learned, frankly, I learned the hard way, making all of the mistakes that all of us entrepreneurs make. The very first business I had failed. That's a true story. In fact, I remember at the time I'd rented an office out in Centurion, and I used to drive a Toyota Ronex RSI, 6 gears forward, red, with the reclining rear seats. And I paid rent for this office up front, 3 months up front, because I thought, when you entrepreneurs, we all do this thing, like we do those things called projections. And then the beautiful thing about Excel can tell you whatever lie you want to hear. Hey, Excel is a fantastic liar. So I went into Excel and I built in my little projections and it showed me how much money I was going to make, when was my break even, yada yada. And then you start running the business and you realize Excel didn't tell real life. And so 3 months into running my business, I'd run out of savings. I paid my car for 3 months. I paid my office for 3 months and a couple of other personal expenses. But now I had no more money to go. So for the next 3 months that followed that, I missed my car payments. And then you get that little letter from the bank. It's a fantastic experience if you've never had it. And I don't mean fantastic in the good sense. I mean fantastic like it'll really wake you up. I got that letter from the bank that said that they'd taken a judgment against me and that the car was to be repossessed. I love the word because it reminds you that what you thought was yours was never yours. And so the day there was a moment I was at the office, I was working late, my mom phoned me up and said, there's a guy here who's here to repossess the car, so I suggest you don't come home. And then I did it. And much later, so my mom's a gangster. No, my mom's a gangster, she's a gangster. And then much later, like 11 o'clock, she called me up and said, the guy's left, you can come home now. And I came home, it's a true story. And I came home and my mom had packed for me a bag of clothes and put it in a sports bag. Right? And as I arrived out of the house, she said, don't even come in, take the bag. And that was basically my mom saying, I don't get it. You're definitely crazy. With your skills and capabilities, you can get a job anywhere. I don't know why you're doing this. But I support you finding your own way. I took that bag, I went back to the office. And then I lived there. I don't mean lived as in I visited. I mean I slept in the basement of the office at Thembekwayo's office park in the dead of winter. I used to wake up every 20 minutes and switch the car on for 10 minutes to warm it up because it would get so cold. 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning, I'd go upstairs, I'd clean up, and then I'd try and get some work done for that day, whatever work was there, if any at all. I called the landlord, I remember him so well, his name was Rian, and I told him that I can't pay the rent. And he said, that's okay, you just keep going, and whenever you're ready to go, I'll be here. And I was quarter to giving up. And by chance, I was invited to an award ceremony, and I was sat in the middle of an award ceremony, met the guy, and the guy at the time was like head of HR at one of these large mining houses, and we kind of got a small contract, but that business still failed. I say all of this to say the following. Beyond the guy who's well-spoken and wears a suit pretty good, for those of you in the room who are on the cusp, I get it. I've been where you are. I know exactly what happens when the debit orders bounce. I know what happens with the kid when the school wants to chuck your kids out of the school because you're not making school fees. I get what it is that when you hope your children won't get ill because the medical aid isn't there anymore. So I don't talk about business because it's there. I talk about it because I'm in it. And if this doesn't inspire you at the very least to act, then let just my story be sufficient inspiration to say the following. It's only but by God's grace that I was afforded the time and opportunity to recover, recoup, rebuild. And it is only His covering that has brought me to this moment. And so I want to say to the person in this room who is on the cusp of giving up, don't. You're so close. And all that needs to happen is you need to find the right path, the right opportunity, and the right people. But the science of what you are doing is exactly that. It's science. Thank you so much for the opportunity.